Since our first highlight video of the Horizon GAIA Cast, we've been treated to 2 more episodes of the very informative series. These 2 specifically explored Project Zero Dawn and the tribes of the 31st century, each offering some pretty unique insight and some intriguing nuggets of new information. As always, I highly recommend watching the podcast for yourself, but here are my personal highlights of episode 3 and 4 of the GAIA Cast. Number 1. Spiritual healing. During the podcast conversation, the subject of Ted Faro's mental state after the discovery of the glitch was brought to light. Head writer of HCD, Ben McCaw, goes on to state a bit of the obvious, as his mental state is in a bad place, but elaborates on some of the more obscure lore of this time, and the different cycles his frame of mind takes. McCaw references the data point Spiritual Summit, a correspondence between Faro and Paula Visara. It states the following. Paula, recent events have sharpened my perspective, and I think that I and FAS in general have been neglecting the spiritual side of things. Not under any specific religious framework, of course, but in a more general sense, as in not giving enough thought to our shared values, hopes, and aspirations for the afterlife. I'd like you to reach out to religious leaders of every stripe, with the intention of scheduling a conference soon. Very soon. I'll have more thoughts on the agenda later, but for now, let's put out some feelers and see if we can lock something in. Make it a big tent. No kooks, but anyone with a credible audience. Let's go deluxe. Make it clear we'll spare no expense. Thanks. Ted. Foreshadowing his immense guilt for the Faro plague, he organizes this event in search of solutions to find forgiveness for what he's done. Though this event is never named in the lore, McCaw reveals it was intended to be called Ted Faro Summit for Spiritual Success. Wonderfully on brand for the world's first trillionaire. Interestingly, at this event, Ted Faro finds what he's looking for in the form of a spiritual guru, an individual whose worldview is in opposition to technology as a whole. This person then goes on to become Faro's spiritual guide, and these Luddite teachings allow Ted to a certain degree place the blame of the plague on the shoulders of tech rather than himself. This becomes quite pivotal, as we learn this shift in mindset is the seed which inevitably leads to his decision to wipe the Apollo archive. Viewing technology as the disease rather than the solution allows for the justification of this action, and in so doing, buries his shameful legacy from those who would come after in one fell swoop. I think we all assumed that Faro's mental state was questionable to say the least during this time, but this additional context really fills in many of the blanks in the story that would come to shape the world of the 31st century. 2. Subfunction Awareness. This section of the 3rd episode I found particularly fascinating, as Anna posed the question, are Hades and Hephaestus aware of the danger they place on humanity, or do they just see it as fulfilling their functions? McCaw's answer was 2 parts, as we learn each is coming from a different place. Hades, on one hand, by the time Aloy encounters it, has become more than a reboot function, as it is filled with a great deal of hate, opposed to its original design, devoid of emotion. Where that hate comes from still remains a mystery at this point. Hephaestus, on the other hand, to the extent it can rationalize, still sees itself as protecting the system. Despite its increased aggression towards machine hunters as it still serves the system, it still feels it is protecting humanity as a whole. Collateral damage being what it may, it's still striving to serve its original purpose, and is unaware of the danger it poses. However, McCaw added this caveat, that these stories are not over, implying their current situation may be changing, leaving us all to wait and see what comes next. This insight into the 2 primary subfunctions we encounter in Horizon Zero Dawn really has some widespread implications. As we previously speculated, these systems are trying to exert their original functions. However, learning of the emotional state of Hades is quite a revelation. It sets a precedent of AI turning their capabilities against humanity not simply by design, but out of a want to do so, potentially opening the door for other artificial intelligence to do the same, whether originating from Gaia like Hades or entirely separate entities like Vast Silver. 3. Tribal Origins. In episode 4, when discussing the tribes, it was revealed that all of the tribes we have encountered thus far can trace their ancestry back to the same place. We knew previously that both the ancestors of the Nora and Karja, thanks to Karja records, were birthed from Eleuthia 9. We can now confirm, thanks to senior writer Annie Katane, that all of the other tribes we encounter in HCD, like the Osram and Banuk, as well as the Utaru and Tenakth in the Forbidden West, all stem from those birthed from the same cradle, each eventually separating and leaving the sacred land at different points in time. This is quite interesting, especially if we re-examine the lore and myths of the individual tribes and the interactions they may have had with each other in their earliest days. Like those who became the Banuk, for example, being hunted by a ravenous tribe before Banukai and her machines defeated them. It's been speculated that this tribe that was chasing them may have been the Tenakth, and knowing that these tribes all originated from the same place, it's more likely than ever that their history may be linked despite where they eventually settled in Horizon's present. And number 4, tattoos. Despite not receiving extensive answers concerning the Tenakth, we were given an interesting detail about a cornerstone of their culture. We were first exposed to the importance of tattoos to the tribe with Aloy's interaction with the Tenakth warrior Ulia in HCD, but was elaborated on by principal character artist Arno Schmitz. These tattoos are indeed an indication of a warrior's prowess within the tribe. The more accomplished they are, the more tattoos they have, each becoming more elaborate, painting a picture of the deeds done to have earned them. Though this tradition is shared across all Tenakth clans as a symbol of status, Schmidt stated that each treat their tattoos differently, leading to a wide range of looks depending on the specific clan. I'm personally hoping, along with more face paints for Aloy, that we're able to adopt some different body paints and tattoo options for her, taking on some of the traditions of those who live where only the sun may go. Both episodes continue to be a wonderful inside look at Horizon's universe, and I think anyone who's interested in the lore and isn't looking to avoid spoilers should take the time to listen. I know I look forward to them each and every week, and will be waiting to see what we uncover next. And that brings our journey to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated, and if you're hungry for more Horizon lore, be sure to subscribe and check out the rest of our lore library. Also consider supporting the channel on Patreon, so we can keep making content just like this. Check out the link in the description. And as always, thanks for watching, and keep questing.